Hi, I'm Week Swingle.
And I'm Bill Kerr.
And a couple of weeks ago, I posted on our Instagram and our Facebook a photo of our fabric after we fussy cut it for our Crown Jewels quilt. And a lot of people said, I don't get it. So I thought maybe we need to do a little tutorial to show how you fussy cut for a kaleidoscopic effect in quilts.
So we're using our new line. We have our new line Dot Crazy for Benartex. And these are three fabrics which are called Fun and Games. It's the name of the fabric. And they're the ones that we're going to show as a demonstration.
Right. So the first thing to understand when you're doing this technique is that you need a bilaterally symmetrical fabric. So what that means is you need a fabric that where there's an axis right down the middle of the fabric that's the exact same on the right and on the left. So that's the first critical thing. So be sure if you're not using this fabric that whatever fabric you're using is the exact same, and some fabrics are tricky, so be sure, otherwise it won't work.
You basically imagine if you put a mirror like this, it would look the same on either side.
Exactly.
And as a sneak peek, this is what we're about to cut, and you can see how if it were a line right down the center, it's exactly the same on both sides.
So this technique we've used for several quilts, but we'll show you today using the Crown Jewels template.
So this pattern is in our Dot Crazy publication, and the pattern has in it a diagram of the templates. And you can, if you have ordinary template plastic, you can put it in the publication and just trace the center line and the seam allowance lines, and you can cut out a thin plastic template. It works very well. But there are a lot of people...
And can I just interject? And I would trace that onto the back side because you'll need the front side for something else.
Good point. And for people who like working with beefy acrylic templates, we do sell the optional template set, which has the two pieces you need to make the quilt, the corner piece and the kaleidoscopic wedge. And what's really nice is they have laser engraved seam allowance lines as well as center lines.
So the first thing you're going to want to do, and we've done it, we've found a couple of the one part of the repeat that we want to use already. And what we did was, let me put this down so you can see. We used a Sharpie, or you can use a dry erase marker too. And we traced elements of the repeat onto the template plastic. Because in order to make this work, it really has to be very precise.
Yeah, you don't want to hurry through this. You want to enjoy the process and make sure that precision, it matters.
Right. So we made little marks for this part of the repeat, so this end of the template doesn't go at an odd angle. And we made little marks around this, these dots. And so that is the piece we cut for the previous two pieces.
And one of the things we did ahead of time is we knew that to make this complete circle, there are 8 wedges, 2 in each quarter. And so we look and like 1, 2, 3, and then the next one where it repeats would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's enough room in this case for 8. And we always check ahead of time because you don't want to run out of space and only have enough room to cut, say, 6. But when we sell the kit to make this quilt, we include so much yardage that you have tons of options and you don't have to be afraid of miscutting.
And if you are using this fabric to make a pink version of this quilt, for the second circle that you do, you could go in and choose a part of the repeat that wasn't used previously, so to be more efficient with the fabric.
Yeah, because you'll definitely see, for instance, Weeks was showing if you had,
This is going off a little
yeah,
bit,
but
so.
there's a little bit off, but it's actually outside of the seam allowance. So I'm just going to kind of, I know that that will work from experience, but let me just go ahead and cut a third wedge here. And I'm doing the no-no of cutting towards myself. Normally I don't do that, but it's a little different when you're on camera. And so what I would do, trim the little pieces that didn't quite make it, but I really want to show you what Weeks was just talking about when she said that you'll have leftover space. So if you had, usually I'd be working with a 1 yard cut and not a half yard because you have so much more space. Then, for my, if you notice, each of these looks really different, even though, for instance, the green ones, all 4 were cut from the exact green fabric. So the reason they look so different is they were cut from a different part of the repeat. So on this one, if
You'd want to wipe off your markings so you don't get confused.
Yeah, with alcohol I could wipe that off or use a different colored pen. And so maybe for the next kaleidoscope, I would decide to center
these circles.
This circle rather than have it near the edge. And again, I would draw elements. Maybe I would circle certain polka dots and cut that out, move to the next one, cut the exact same one out, and then...
And you want a pen? You want to show them with a pen?
Because you've cut carefully, and these are now identical, you can line them up, and it's kind of cool. If you hold them up to the light, so they're all aligned, you can actually see through the fabric. And once they're aligned, I'm going to insert a pin 1/4 of an inch in, double check that it's nicely aligned. And when I go to my sewing machine, I'll sew my 1/4 inch seam allowance, and because I've lined it up looking at the light, once I've sewn it and taken it out, they'll be perfectly reflecting each other.
Like this.
And you get this kind of wonderful kaleidoscope. And one of the things we want to say is this technique isn't limited to this single quilt.
So our Wonderland quilt also uses this technique. The template is different, and the template is, this is on the download, I think, right? This template? I'm pretty sure it's in the download.
Oh, no, it's in the magazine.
Okay. So this has 2 different kaleidoscopes sewn together. So this is 4 triangles here to make a square, all fussy cut using the same technique. And these 4 triangles also fussy cut using the same technique. So it's different templates, but the same technique.
Same concept. And again, it's in the Dot Crazy publication.
And we have a kit of this as well.
Yeah, and in the back are the templates that you can trace onto template plastic. We do have those, I said, for Crown Jewels, we have the acrylic ones available.
Yeah. Oh, and then one last tip we forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah, there are always so many tips.
When you are using the, can you move this please?
Yes.
Thank you. When you're placing the template onto the fabric, if you have a little piece of loop of tape or double-sided tape that you can put on the back side, you'll find that it doesn't slip as much when you're trying to cut.
And that's such a good piece of advice. I actually often do 3. 1, 2, 3, because that really stabilizes it.
Yeah.
And that matters because if it shifts during cutting, you won't get the perfect alignment.
Yeah.
And you want that alignment because it's so satisfying to see it all come together.
So give it a try and let us know what you think.
And we hope you like it as much as we do. We worked on this one together. And part of the joy is you really don't know what the blocks and the kaleidoscopes will look like until they're totally together.
Yeah.
So
give it a try.
yeah, have fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.